In this lesson, I want to explain how to model with volume builder method in Cinema 4D. Its icon is also here in the volume builder, volume measure, and other setting. And its separate menu here is also volume menu is here that I will explain it. I want to mention you these images here. What is the volume modeling? In a 2D world, we have a pixel, okay? And as you can see, this is a 2D pixel that if you zoom in, you can see the pixels of that. And in a 3D world, we have something similar to the pixel called voxels. And with the voxels, that is a small box. In here, we can, for example, simulate or create a sphere here, for example. This is a voxel scale. As you can see, it's a box that you can create your object with that voxels. If the voxel size is smaller, you can most accurate sphere here. Okay, and this is another interesting method for modeling in Cinema 4D, that you can combine, extract, subtract the model from each other and combining them and create a new model with them. It's actually like a Boolean, but it's very more faster and nice and easy to work. So I begin with objects. You can, for example, bring a cube here. Okay. Bring a cube and then a sphere above it, or in this. And you can simply assign the volume builder. Okay, this is a green comment. The green comment, you have to bring all of the object below that comment, as you can see, and it creates a voxel. That's the pixel mode in 3D, and turn them to the voxel, and after that they're combining to each other. Okay, as you can see, if you click on a volume builder, we have an option here that's very important. The heart of the volume builder is in this here. It's the object. As you can see, we have the it's actually in a layer like a Photoshop. The hierarchy is very important. As you can see, this is a cube. This is the name of the object. This is a mode. As you can see, you can union, subtract, intersect the object with each other. This is the main object that has no mode on it, and the other object above that is the object that you can union with the below object and subtract it. And an input type is a child. It means that both of these objects are child of the volume builder. For example, you want to add another object. The interesting thing about the volume builder is that you can insert any object, text, graph, blend mode, or deformers, or fields, anything, emitters, dynamic under it, and you can build a mixing objects together. It's a mesh mixer. The best name of this. Here you can create a circle here, and interesting, you can insert a circle, a spline here. Okay, you can see that's nice, and you can create a object from the spline. You don't need to swap them or add another, for example, extrude or loft or sweep or any object. It's automatically create object based on this. As you can see, you can make the circle child of this volume builder. As you can see, it's very simple, and as you can see, it create object for us. Don't worry, you can create a mesh from them. Okay, it's ugly now, but it's make beautiful. Or you can click and drag it outside, or you can assign it as a link. Click and drag, assign it as a link. Okay, but it's better, and as you can see, the type of the input changed to the link, and it's bad. You have not the radius of that. It's more confused. Maybe you change it. As you can see, you can change it. It's very interesting. But the best way for volume builder making is all of the objects that you want to combine them, child of the volume builder, and input type make the child. I can bring the circle to the up, and as you can see, the base object has no radius, and I'll explain what is the radius here. So you can learn the input here. So we have 3 objects there. I delete it from here first, or I bring it here, sorry. I want to work with just 2 objects here. This is a base object. The second object is above it. Another thing I want to explain, the volume type. We have 3 main volume type here. Sign distance field, it's SDF, it's called SDF, the fog, and the vector. The simplest explain about these 3 type is, the first mode is just for modeling. You have subtract, intersect, union. If you want to modeling, you have to use SDF. If you want to simulate the fog, smoke, or water, you have to use the fog modeling. Of course, you can use the fog for modeling. It's a little faster, but if you select the fog modeling, as you can see, turn to the just points, and you have to assign the redshift, for example, material or octane V-Ray material to render them. Okay, I will be explaining them later. And as you can see, the mode will be changed to the normal, mean, max on add. It's mathematical to add the object to object. Another interesting thing is a vector. As you can see, it turned to object to the vector, and it has its own mode here. That I have to explain them separately in a separate lessons, okay? Because they are very complex. Don't worry about them. I will be explaining them. But I can give you an example about for example, this is a fog. As you can see, it's create with a volume builder, and you have to assign the light. You know the light. You have to use a render engine for that. And you have to learn a lot of things that you cannot understand in this lesson. As you can see, we have a continuous tutorial with a number. Don't worry about that. I want to just explain them technically with these tools, and after that I bring back and give you more example. Or this example is for vector. You can create an interesting thing as for vector. For using the vector, you have to learn about the simulation, emitter, its forces, and of course you have to use a field. That's I have to explain them later when we reach to the cloner. For don't worry about that, we have a continuous tutorial. You have to tune with us in this channel to learn them. So I want to explain the main purpose of this volume builder in this lesson, and it's a very I think it's for you it's very complex in fog and vector that I have to bring back, and with the example I have to explain them, and you have to for example, using thing in particle or Mugraf things, that's very complex for you now. Okay, you can change the objects. It's parametric, of course. You can change the parameters. It's very interesting. And so SDF is the main purpose for modeling. Okay, when the sphere is a union, it means this object is union with each other, and we have a new object there. So interesting part is if you render, you have nothing. Why? Because this is the volume builder. You have to turn the volume builder to the mesh. So another interesting comment is here, volume mesher. You have to click and drag, make the child of that volume mesher, and now we have our mesh. And if you go to display and graph shading line, you can see they're connecting to each other. It's very interesting. Don't worry about the bad quality of the mesh. If you select the volume builder, here's the voxel size. You can increase or decrease the volume voxel size, and if you have, as you can see, if you have the smaller size of the voxels, you have more quality of the object. So be careful about the number. If you select, for example, 2 centimeter, as you can see, we have a very dense and object. Another interesting thing is that I've explained it. If you select the sphere here, we have it's sitting here that you can change the radius. It's parametric and procedural here. But if you select the volume builder and select the sphere in this, it's below, we have a lot of sitting here. Another important thing for a sphere things is perfect primitive. If you select that, you can see we have a perfect on sphere. Or if you want to use a mesh point, you can use a mesh point here. You can change the radius of that point as a mesh. It's very interesting. If you have a hole in your object, you can optimize and close the hole. It's here. It's very interesting. Override grid matrix. For example, if you change the voxel size, make bigger, higher, as you can see, the voxels are in this direction. But if you insert another object that you can rotate it, for example, in this direction, you can align this voxel's direction as according to this. For example, click on this eyedropper, or you can click and drag this cube here, and as you can see, the alignment of the voxels according to this object is rotating. It's interesting. Okay, you can doing something like this, and here Control Z. Okay, so you can doing with this in volume builder selected sitting. We have an important setting here that will explain it more. Auto update settings, as you can see, you can automatically update your model, and its setting will be done here. It's your cube. We have the same setting in the cube. Use a mesh point if you want it, and that's it. I will be explain another thing with circle here. I insert a circle. I bring the sphere of the volume builder and insert the circle here. If you select the circle in the volume builder, we have something called if you select the spline objects. If you select the spline here, as you can see, we have a different setting from here. You can change its radius, as you can see. We are in a volume measure, and you can change the density of that. For example, if you change the density lower, you can change it here. You can see better with this. As you can see, density of this is very important. An interesting thing about the spline, when you select the spline in the volume builder, here you can scale align that spline. It's very interesting. Okay, you can scale this. Okay, it is very interesting. You can control your scale along. That's very simple and easy. I explained it before this window and the benefit of this window in Cinema 4D. Okay, get back to our sphere here. The hierarchy in this mode is not important. The hierarchy here is very important. So we turn on the volume measure, and simply you can union them, subtract a sphere from that. Imagine you can do a lot of modeling with this. It's a very fast, Boolean here. Or you can intersect them. It's very simple. I use a subtract there, and I bring another object here, select it, and as you can see, you can volume builder hierarchy is very important. You can select a circle and change it if you want it. So we have 3 objects that you can control. For example, this sphere subtract from them, but the circle union them. And you can control this connection with the radius now. What happened to that? Okay, I bring them again to show you something interesting. As you can see, if you want to work with them, you have to select the volume builder, and after that volume measure, bring them under the volume builder, and all of them are under volume measure. An interesting way is select them, all of them, and in a mesh menu, I jump it off it from the previous lesson, and now I want to explain the volume mesh here. This tool has three benefits. That one of them is here. When you select this gear here, and it's a volume mesh, I will explain them more. You can change the voxel size here. 5. I don't want to subdivide it. I explain it in a sculpt mode. You can. But if you tick the keep objects, if you hit OK, it do everything for you automatically. It's bring all of the object below the volume builder and the volume measure. If you select the volume mesh, you can subtract the circle here, and you can make it smaller, and we need more voxel size. Oh, as you can see, we have a better quality here, but not much. As you can see, the edges, you can control them with there. Here you can change the, for example, I want to make it union. Okay, here if you select a circle, you can assign the with that. Okay. Another benefit of these tools is here. If you want to select a volume builder here, and if you like it, you can go to the mesh, the volume mesh. Before selecting, turn off the keep object, hit OK, it turn to the just a mesh object. Okay, it's actually like this. If you select it here, I explained it before, current state to object. As you can see, you have an object from this volume mesh object here that you created. Okay, so another benefit of the volume mesh. Another benefit of that, if I bring a new scene here, if you going and insert the sphere here and going to the sculpt mode, this is a new interface of the sculpt mode. It's very easy. We have two important button here, as you can see. Another important button here is this. You have to make it editable. Go into the display and line. This is in the sculpt mode.cinema 4D. We have subdivided 3 level. And I use just this grab object and make it symmetry in this direction. Nope. In this direction. Nope. Okay, as you can see, when you just stretch something here, their polygons will be disappear and distort. And it's bad in the sculpting. If you want to remesh them and subdivide them, for example, accordingly and proportionally, you have to use this volume mesh. Before that, you have to change its settings. It's like a voxel. This means it's not a voxel, but it's reorganize or retopology of the meshes. Here you can assign the lower number. Don't keep the objects, and you can I explain the smooth, what is a smooth, or you can subdivide it here too and hit OK. And as you can see, it's remeshed for you, and we have mesh now here. Okay, this is one benefit of the volume mesh in a mesh menu that I explain it now because I explained the volume mesh. We are going back to our previous lesson and going to the standard layout. Okay, another interesting setting here is a smooth. For example, smoothing. Okay, you can add another box, or you have, for example, something like this. You can create interesting model like this with this complex object here. We have two objects, volume smoother filter, and so on. Okay. I want to insert another object, for example, a cylinder here, and I want to insert it there and bring it under the volume builder. As you can see, they are union to each other. Okay, we have a complex scene here. And as you can see, I want to smooth out, for example, this sphere and this. Okay, I want to smooth them. We have some filter here. SDF is mean sign distance field. For explain this, it's very simple. As you can see, it's for modeling. When we have a shell and object here, the voxels create base distance on this shell, outside and interior and exterior. And it calls the hollow object, and it's very interesting and important for modeling. So for modeling, you have to use SDF. If you want to smooth everything, you can hold your mouse here. You can add a smooth object, a smooth SDF smooth here. As you can see, it's smooth all of the objects. If you select it, it's actually like a Photoshop layer. It smooths all of the objects below it. Okay, you can change the strength of the smoothness here, and we have operation. You can Gaussian mean or any other operations mathematically. You have to experiment of them. And as more thing important is the voxel distance. You can increase or decrease it if you want more smoother, and the iteration is actually multiplier. That's it. And another interesting thing, if you want to just smooth the sphere and the cube, you can bring it there. As you can see, just smooth the sphere and that object. Okay. Or if you want to assign the this filter just to one object, you can delete it. Oh, sorry. You can create a folder here. We have a new folder here. For example, I want to first select it, delete it. I want to combine this cylinder with that sphere, for example, in this mode. As you can see, it's interactively, you can change it. It's interesting. I want to make them one object here, so you can assign them folder and bring them with control and click and drag to this folder. Interesting. For example, I want to bring the cylinder here. Okay. The cylinder in a volume builder, the cylinder and the circle is a one object. Okay, as you can see, the one object. It's a one object with a one mode here. You can assign the smooth just to these objects. So the smooth and bring them in this folder. And as you can see, the smooth just assigned to the, you have to bring above them. It's very important, and just assign to these two objects that is in the folder, and its hierarchy is very important. It's above to this object. Okay, don't confuse, it's very easy, and it does not affect these objects below. Okay, you change it, as you can see, it affects that object, and you can subtract both of them with this. As you can see, this folder, this object has separately the type object, but this folder that contained these two objects had another mode. You can subtract it from cube, those objects from that cube, or union them or intersect them. Interesting. So with this method, you can, if you click a folder, you can assign that specific smoothness to that. Interesting. I bring them up. This is a user folder. Another interesting thing in the filter is dilate and erode. It's actually expand and shrink the whole object. For example, It's a string, it's an offset. You can increase or decrease it. It's very simple and it has its benefit. You can go to the negative number to positive number and you can use it erode. And another interesting filter here is close or open SDF. For example, I give you an example in this. I bring two cubes that are far from each other and select them and use the volume, the mesh volume, and it's, oh, sorry. You have to click this gear and keep the objects and it's okay. As you can see, it bring them automatically to the volume builder to make them voxel. I want to, as you can see, if you want to close this gap, you can use this filter close and open. If you change the offset, as you can see, you can bring the objects. As you can see, it's automatically snap to each other and close these gaps and holes. I will be explaining them more with another example. You can insert, you can bring all of the objects inside of volume builder. For example, another example is a simulation. I will explain it more, but here you can simulate interesting things with here. If you play, as you can see, we have a emitter here that emit the particle. I select it and in a particle I make them higher. That's it. I will explain them, don't worry. And in a include, I want to assign effector turbulence to that. And we have an interesting things. Oh, turbulence emitter. Oh, sorry. We have to click and drag. I will explain it. You can see for more example about the volume builder, fog or vector, you have to learn a lot of things. That's why I explain them later. Don't worry. And we have a turbulence there. We want more scale and strengths here and a plate now. Okay, simply you can assign this emitter to that volume builder and volume measure. Volume, you can select it, volume builder, volume measure. First, you have to click and drag the volume builder. As you can see, we have a volume here. You can increase the number of the volume to better. And if you select the emitter, you can change the radius of that particle. Any particle change to these blobs. And interesting. And after that, you can make a mesh from each other. And as you can see, they are connecting to each other. If you want to connect them more, here in the volume builder, you can add a close and open again. And it calls to close and close the object to each other. And you can make these interesting effects with this. Interesting. Another interesting thing here is you can assign this emitter a tracer to that. You can go to the MoGraph effector, tracer. Okay, and you can trace the objects. Interesting. Trace the things, and you can click and drag and tracer under the volume builder, and you can do an interesting thing, an effect with the volume builder. Interesting. So we have an animation here and it's very heavy, and here comes this option in a volume builder called cache. Click and drag And the hierarchy of the cache is very important. Which object do you want to cache? I want to cache all of the objects. As you can see in the volume builder, we have an emitter, we have an close and open. You can delete that and to make it better. And as you can see, I want to cache the tracer and this emitter. Cache it. Select the cache in its settings. You can click the animation and which frame do you want. I want to frame 200 here and create a cache. And they cache the animation for you and you can go forward and backward very smoothly. Okay, caching is finishing. Done. And we have a smooth animation that you can simply doing something like this. Don't worry about the emitters, but you go back. Okay, so you learn how to, and as you can see, they are being turned off because they are in a cache. In a volume menu, you can here clear the cache volume, or you can clear the cache from here. Okay, you learn more about these tools. Going back to our tool here. Okay, when you select a volume measure, the comment that create a mesh from the voxels, we have something, we have a small setting here, but important. The voxel range threshold, it's actually expanding, shrink, and expanding whole your object. You can do something like this. It's in a 15. And the adaptive, it's very important. In adaptive, if you select the display line, you can polygon reduction, reduce your polygon. If you have a very polygon here, dense polygon, you can change the adaptive and change the polygon reduce here. And after that, you can change it to the pixel. So adaptive, it's actually like a polygon reduction. Another interesting thing is create a curvature map. We have a very dense volume mesh. The bad thing about the volume measure is it's very heavy. Okay, you need more resources if you want to create a very complex model. And as you can see, it's calculating a volume builder here. You can see it. And now it's our volume mesh here. It's very complex scene that I downloaded from the Maxon. Oh, sorry. As you can see, it's just calculating. Okay, we have a complex scene here in a volume builder scene here, as you can see. And it's create this complex object with a volume builder. And it's just calculating. It's very heavy. I use the state current object to create this volume mesh here. And it's create a vertex map for us. This vertex map, you can use from this vertex map to texturing, for example, these edges here. It gives you that texture map. That's okay. And now this is our measure here, and you can, I explained it before, you select it. As you can see, it's created vertex map for us. If you select the volume measure options, here, if you active the create the curvature map, you can, for example, explain the convex area on both objects or concave area. As you can see, it's to create a map for us that you define it, and after that, you in a texturing softwares or in this software, in texturing mode or the sculpt mode, you can, or in a UV editing or paint layouts, you can paint your texture like this. So it's, if you need these edges to, it's actually store these edges for you that you can create for example, texturing for that. Okay, another setting. I explain all of these settings, and I will be explaining the fog and the vector in a separate lessons. but it's not very important. You can use SDF with all of your purpose. Okay, I explained them all. That's okay. You can use and create an interesting model with these tools. Another interesting option in a volume is volume loader. In a volume loader, I explained it separate. You can load a VDB file. Here you can download a VDB file. These are the VDB file: explosions, tornado, or fire. Everything is VDB file. You can download it here. So Open VDB is a technology that you can, for example, create a very volumetric area with this tool. I download one of them. You can go to the volume and volume loader here, and it's a volume loader. You can also address your file that you download from here. I insert it. Okay, I want to insert this explosion. Oh, sorry, I inserted. Sorry. Okay, I want to insert this explosion. It's a VDB file. It's very interesting. So with a volume loader, you can do it. You can open it, and this is a VDB sequence. You select the first file, and the Cinema 4D does everything for you, and it's here. And if you select it, boom. I think it is in the wrong direction, okay? No, it's correct. Okay. And now you can do a lot of things with that. You can assign it to, as you can see, we have two things here. Here you can change the animation, use animation. You can scale it 5 times. And to see it better, its origin is somewhere there. Oh, yeah. This is the bottom of the volume builder. Here you can VDB, you can assign it and make it the higher, and here we have an explosion. So if you select the volume reader, we have two things. In some other VDB, we have a temperature, flame, or fire, smoke. As you can see, we have a frame here, flames here. Just you can insert the flames, or you can just insert the density. This is a flame or density, okay? Or just density. Or nothing. So we haven't selected here. So you can select insert. And you can assign the volume loader to your, for example, MoGraph, and control something, or you can simply make volume measure from that. Okay, you can select volume builder and volume measure. You can assign this volume loader to this volume builder. As you can see, we have an voxel explosion, and you can bring them under the mesh and create a mesh from it. Interesting. And after that, if you want to see this animation smoothly, you can assign the cache to it. Be careful about this volume voxel size. Okay, this is another benefit of the volume loader, and I will give you another example with MoGraph, and you can, for example, something. We have an interesting example about that. So I just want to show you another command in this volume menu that's called volume loader. So in a volume loader, you can load open VDB files in Cinema 4D. Hello my friends, to continue these tutorials on YouTube, subscribe us, like us, and hit the bell icon. And now you will be alerted about all of the amazing videos that we release.